So Construction Scotland, what is it about and what are we all about ultimately at the end of the day? We're a group of individuals that come together representing many sectors across construction, but our ultimate aim and objective is to improve the profitability and the productivity of construction. That's why we come together. And it's a volunteer organisation made up, as I say, of many of the disciplines that make up construction. But we also look for new members and will continually seek new participants within the section. You'll hear this morning a little bit about what we're doing and what we're about. In terms of construction, Sally made mention of the video. I think it does demonstrate the impact that construction has on the built environment. And equally, something that we should all be very proud of, that we make a contribution to everybody's daily lives. Construction Scotland tries to do that in a number of different ways. And indeed, one of the things that we try to do is to innovate about the processes and the construction methodologies that are used in construction on a daily basis.
I don't think it's possible to overestimate the importance of innovation centres in changing how we do things. Innovation centres are a cultural shift that seeks to bring the innovation and the creativity of our academic sector to the very heart of our business life, and also one that seeks to put business drive firmly at the heart of our academic sector. Innovation centres are going to be instrumental in placing us in Scotland ahead of our international competitors and reinforcing the reputation that we have, that we rightly have, our reputation built over generations as an innovative nation. In launching the centre, to put on record my thanks and congratulations to everybody who has worked very hard, and I know many people have worked very hard to bring the Innovation Centre to fruition, and I wish Stephen Good all the best in his role as Chief Executive of the centre.
But no matter what your perception of innovation is, the reality is that we know in construction that we have to continually move forward. We're living in a more competitive world, and if we want to stay ahead of the game, we have to be better, we have to move forward, do things differently, and find better ways of doing things. That's crucially important. The only constant in life is change. And at the end of the day, innovation, if I'm to leave you with one thing here today from this short presentation, innovation is a living, breathing thing. The reality is, what does innovation mean? Innovation is what turns ideas into invoices. And if you're particularly fortunate in construction, maybe even cash at the end of the day. But innovation is something which basically creates value in our industry, creates investment, creates new jobs. And that is why there has been such an amount of time and effort put into the Innovation Centre families.
That is one of the areas that will drive innovation, is if the construction industry see the commercial value in it. So, our role from that point of view, moving this forward, I guess, is to help propel your business forward. We're here to act as the arm's length R&D team. If you've got a problem or a challenge that you need to fix, this sounds a bit like an A-team thing, but if you've got a problem or a challenge that you need to fix and you can't find anybody else, we will be the team that are here to help deliver that, I guess. That's the purpose, that's the mission. And what we want to see, I guess in some roundabout way, is all you businesses embedding that sort of culture so that regularly, rather than us, the academic teams, the public sector partners, the stakeholders involved, you know, cajoling and encouraging you to be more innovative, adopt more innovative, get involved in this project, get involved in that project. I need my phone to be ringing off the hook. And once I get my email up and running, I need it to be in meltdown mode as well. So our purpose really is to help you guys deliver what you want to achieve.
This is industry-led, which is absolutely crucial. This is industry driving forward the innovation that it wants. And I had said this morning that investment, which we have, plus the confidence, the aptitude to take it forward will lead to innovation. But we are relying on industry to basically come forward and say, this is something that we should do. And as Stephen mentioned, we're trying to de-risk some of the things. Innovation is quite an expensive business. And it's, you know, if you bear in mind that we have 130,000 people in Scotland, but that's spread over 31,000 businesses. 130,000 people work in construction in Scotland, but over 31,000 businesses, which I think is quite amazing. Something like 80% of our construction companies in Scotland have less than 8 people. So the vast majority of our business in construction, it isn't the conglomerates like Mr. O'Rourke's, Ling O'Rourke and Balfour Beatty. They are enormous players, etc. But the people who will change the industry are at root level. They are the people who are less than 8 people in their company. And if you're trying to run your business, and I've been there, if you're trying to run a business of 6, 7, 8 people, you can frequently be more concerned with how do I pay the wage bill next week than what's my next process of innovation. And that's the reality of the situation we have to face. What Stephen and I are hoping to do is to take away those barriers for small companies to innovate. That if you have a particular idea, it gets flagged up, it goes to a project board, which Stephen will talk about in a second, and basically we try then to put funding into it. So we put funding into things to make this innovation happen.
We have the opportunity to listen to what industry wants to do as part of the bid process, and Bill mentioned that I've been involved in this process for a while, but it wasn't just me. I was passionate about driving the Innovation Centre programme forward, but there were hundreds of businesses, frankly, who wanted to engage in the process and want this Innovation Centre to work and want to use it ultimately. So we've got in the fortunate position now where, with the good faith and judgment, I'm sure, of the Funding Council, we're here, we're ready to go. We need industry to come forward with the projects so we can pull the consultants, the stakeholders, the higher education institute partners, the college partners in time all together and gear that support network around making sure we deliver what you want. So we need to know what we don't know, we need to know what you guys have got problems with, and we need to then task the best teams we can to solve those problems and take them to a logical conclusion. First point of contact, given that I am the Innovation Centre at the moment, officially, from a day job point of view, is me. So, as I mentioned earlier, there is a team within all the different stakeholders who are playing a great role in terms of supporting infrastructure and all the various things that we clearly need to complete in terms of putting in place, but that's ongoing, so that's moving forward at pace. But for now, as a first point of contact and fully appreciative that my role moving us forward is to speak to every single one of you that wants to do something that engages with the Innovation Centre. So I'm more than happy to. I've got my train ticket duly charged up and ready to travel the country. So I'm here and ready to go. The team of business relationship managers, the academic partners, and the stakeholder partners. Commitment, I suppose, to be part of this initiative is to help engage with industry and find out what initiatives industry wants to bring forward. So what projects do we want to see matured? In terms of the process we'll go through, and I mentioned we don't want an overly laborious, bureaucratic form-filling process necessarily. As Bill's touched on, this is an industry-led initiative. So what we have conceived as a technical advisory group, which is going to be populated, I hope, by many people in this room, which will act as the process that allows businesses to flow to the Innovation Centre operations team and then upwards to the governance board for sign-off for funding support. We're acutely aware that we don't want that process to be long and laborious. So if industry, with the academic partners working in this technical advisory group, which will have a pool of experts from all the various different organisations you can imagine will have something to contribute to that conversation, can help nurture, mature, develop those projects, and at that point, yes, there'll be a form we need to fill in, but that will then be processed from the operations team through to the governance board and the funding cocktail, because I suspect in most instances it will not simply just be funding from the Innovation Centre, although that is one of our roles. We'll act through that process of growing and nurturing the project to see just where else there's perhaps appropriate support that can get brought in. So that process and the task for us to make sure that the academic partners, industry partners, those involved in delivering it can do it in a timescale that meets the needs of industry, which is the key driver really for us. That will allow us to identify the projects. And clearly we have funding commitment and there's a ceiling on that, so we don't have a bottomless pit of money, I guess. But what we do have is flexibility and scope within the delivery mechanism of the Innovation Centre to not eliminate at this point any small projects, big projects. Yes, there are other mechanisms out there, interface and innovation vouchers and a whole host of different mechanisms that can allow some early feasibility stuff to happen. Our job in that respect is to make it easier for industry to access those things, and then on that kind of stream of activity that would happen to take an early project from there to on the shelf if it's a product as an example, it's to make sure that we are A, holding the hand of the organisations all the way through that, pointing them in the right direction, but making sure we're still holding their hand, we're not waving them goodbye at the door and best of luck, we'll see you in 2 years' time sort of thing. We will have a relationship with that company right the way through that process, and we'll manage that as best we can.
I think it's a fantastic turnout today. It shows an appetite within the construction sector to really look at ways which we can embrace innovation that can make real differences to the construction sector, both in terms of performance, efficiencies and deriving greater economic benefit right across the sector.
I think it's an exciting challenge that the Innovation Centre have got ahead. I think it looks like they're going to be lining up a really good team, and the attendance here is absolutely fantastic. And it's not as though it's junior members of the team, it's the senior decision makers and influencers that are attending. So I think they've also got everyone's attention. I think it'll be really exciting to see what they do next.